Hello everybody. In today's video what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going over some of the basics of drawings, and that is going to be starting with the very basics and going back with the building blocks of learning how to draw. Like I said, I am wanting to try to do is go back over my original style of drawing and build up the fundamentals. And building up the fundamentals, I want to start off with building up shapes, relearning how to do everything and have those basic building blocks. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start off with some of the basic shapes that you're going to need to know. So I'm going to draw a little bit darker on the page here, so it hopefully picks up a lot better on camera than what I would usually draw. Usually draw it a little bit lighter than this. So we've got basic shape here and it's coming up nicely. So the three basic shapes I want to get used to drawing over again, and also these are the basic shapes that you want to use when you're building up everything, is a square, a triangle and a circle. Now of course there are different variations of the shapes like a rectangle and so forth. I want to start off with these, and so getting practice with these here. One thing I have actually just started doing with learning my drawing over again is before I go into a drawing with a bit more style and going hard with how I want to go with doing the videos, I like to do a little few practice warm-up sketches, which is getting down basic shapes. So like if I'm drawing a head as part of the body, same with like muscles and stuff like that, as I go in and I just draw a bunch of different shapes, just nice and easily, getting the practice so I have that sort of muscle memory building up. But as you can see here, I've got some sort of like egg shapes and everything like that. But what I really want to do is I want to practice the three-dimensional shape, so I can draw a shape from any angle and get into that sort of stuff. So with our square here, one of the basic ways that you learn, especially when you're younger, and that even how I started out learning, is you draw a square like so, and you first start out learning how to draw a three-dimensional square. You draw a square on top, just like this, getting it up there, right behind it, and then you would connect them like so, and you go, there you go, got myself a square. Now I've since learned how to draw a lot since then, and I can draw that shape without needing that. And this is basically like a 1 point perspective. So myself, I've learned to draw it like so, coming in with a different size. So that way, without needing to draw the two squares like that, you can see I already have the exact same shape there as well. And the way you do this, especially if you're doing it with 1 point perspective, is you want a ruler. And the way that I draw it like this, and how you should draw it if you want to be super accurate with it, is you want to have your area where you want to draw your square. So you want to draw basically an ordinary square like so, getting your lines as straight as you possibly can, and then you want to put a dot around somewhere, which is going to be the vanishing point. So say over here, for instance, we want to make this our vanishing point. And what you want to do is you want to make all the lines that are representing the side of the square here all go back to that vanishing point, or that dot if you will, just like so. And then every other line is a straight line that goes either vertical or horizontal across there. And that's, I probably should just use a ruler for this while I've already got it out, like so. And that will give you your perfect vanishing point with your 1 point perspective. And as you can see, very, very effective here. And this of course depends on where you're drawing it, and you could have your vanishing point like so, over here, and you would just connect it with the ruler overall. But when I'm drawing it now, I've sort of got enough of a handle on it, especially with the squares, of being able to sort of visualize where I want my dot and placing that on there. And the other way you can do it is with 2 point perspective. And this here, just show you without ruler for a start how I do it, like so, is imagining those 2 points off in the distance like so, while still keeping our line straight, And there you have it there, a basic nice quick square that is at 2-point perspective. So the way you do this one is you draw the line first. You don't draw the whole face of the square. You want to go for your height like so, and then you want your vanishing point, so you pick your 2 places where you want your points, wherever, and then you want to rule towards them. So this is what I'm sort of thinking of in my head as I'm doing it, by sending everything back to that direction. And as you can see here, we have it nice and easily figured out like so. Now as you can see, we have it slightly different here because we've drawn this completely side on from the box. It's not quite at the angle of that. So if I wanted to do it like that, so I do see the top of it, I just want to come down here a bit further and make it so the vanishing point is a lot higher. And we're going to use the same vanishing point on here, just like so, going through here. And these are just the things you want to think about as you're building up your skills. And you want to be picking out your sort of size. I'll pick out roughly the same size here coming on, and then for even these back ones, you want to connect them to the vanishing points that they are associated with here, like so. And then there you have it. You see you've got your top here, which is the exact same as the top on here essentially, and you can see that you've got a more perfect exact shape. And then what I do on top of that is basically just work all this out in my head as I'm going along. And now I can even do it from the bottom. See, 2-point perspective really does give you a lot of flexibility here when you're drawing. It makes everything look a little bit more dynamic than your 1-point perspective. Not that 1-point perspective isn't good, it definitely has its uses, especially when creating scenes and stuff like that. And as you can see, you can easily use lines already as long as everything's going back to that vanishing point. And now you can see we have ourselves our square from the top view, the middle view, and the bottom view. So this is one thing that I'm super comfortable with drawing, is squares at this sort of angle. And then what we have here next up that I need to do some practice on is triangles and circles. So with our triangles, same sort of thing here. You can do the 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective. You can even make it a cone or a square bottom. So like one angle you can do here with a cone is, I'm going to do an upside down cone here, is you draw a round circle on top, just flat, and then you want to go down here just like an ice cream cone essentially, and that there, without any shading, goes and shows you that you've got yourself a cone. So you can sort of see there that if we sort of section it in half, you can see that we follow the same line all the way down. It's just about keeping it consistent if we had that there as the bottom. So the other way you can do a cone, a triangle, sorry, as well, is you can sort of do it the same way here. You want to imagine some of the lines we go back to, so we're going to have our square along the bottom like so. You can have it so you can connect all these sides together like so, and you have your square at the bottom. That was probably a little bit harder to see, even though I'm drawing everything so small. Let's probably do the size up now, and let's draw that just a little bit bigger. So let's go here, imagine our square on the bottom, and this is just connecting it up like so. And then you have a nice pyramid like that, and you can just imagine that you have the face of a square. Now this of course isn't perfect, I'm doing it all super freehand, just keeping in mind what that looks like. And then you have your sphere. So the hardest one of all for me to do is imagining our sphere. So this one here, the thing is with spheres, when you're trying to do them three-dimensionally, is the only way you can really do it three-dimensionally is with shading. But when I'm doing it, I want to keep in mind that we have a sphere cut in half or anything like that. So if we want it cut in half like this, I'm imagining it like so. So we have our sphere cut in half, and that's just how I want to try keep that in mind, like so. So you got your half sphere there, and you can still see the top of it, and this here is your back. So it doesn't matter what way you're rotating it or anything like that, you just want to keep these areas in mind. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with having our sphere. It's always the hardest one for me to get around. We're trying to visualize it when I'm doing it by coloring in the page or shading it. It requires so much of it being the way you need it to visualize it in your head, compared to when you're drawing other things and you can get that on your hand. So one other thing too that I want to mention, with especially while we're drawing spheres here, is a cylinder. A cylinder is going to be another real good thing that we want to get on top of. So the exact same thing here. So we're imagining our circle across here, across the top and the bottom, and we're connecting them up. Easiest way to probably do that is by imagining sort of two circles. You want to draw them in sort of the angle you want. So we're going to imagine our two circles here, like so. We'll place our spheres like so. You can do it that way, and then you just want to connect them up with basically a square, and this here will get you your way of coming up with your spheres. So that is doing it the easiest way to know how, without any shading. And this is what I want to do. I'm going to go to a time lapse of me doing some more shapes and possibly adding shading onto them, so you can sort of see some of the angles and stuff that I'm going to be trying to do, because they are the basic building blocks for anything. So you know, you've got a arm or something like that, you know, basically an arm, you want to have your sort of like shoulder joint, which is your sphere, and then on top of it, connected to it, you've got your cylinder, like so. And if you can imagine those sorts of joints, it can set you up for learning a lot of stuff. And then you come down here for a hand, let's say, and then you want to draw yourself a square on top of it. So learning the basic fundamentals and coming in with a triangle, even little overall squares, and you get the sort of idea I'm going for there. Probably a little bit light to see there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a time lapse with some drawings, and we'll come see how it turns out, and getting practice with the shapes, and see if I can eventually get better and better after doing a few more of these. So let's go into that time lapse now. And so there you have it. There's me just sketching out some basic shapes, trying to get the fundamentals down, relearning how to do them from different angles and stuff like that to try and help me out in my process in the future. So I hope this video has inspired you or helped you out in getting some of those fundamentals sort of practiced and really learning them, because they're super important. And like I'm trying to do is I'm trying to relearn everything and build my skills back up, and I wanted to start back off with the basics. So coming in and starting off with shapes, I think, is a good way to do that. So I'm starting from the very, very beginning, and it's a great way to build your skills up from there. And also too, I think in the next video I bring out of me doing some artwork, I think I might use some of these shapes that I've drawn here to build onto and draw different things. So like how I did with the little arm there in the corner, I can use that to build all sorts of things, all sorts of objects, and how you can use shapes in everyday sort of situations to draw everyday objects and things like that to give you something to look at when you're drawing, so how you can break things down into shapes. But that'll be for the next video anyway. But with all of that said, guys, I hope this video has been helpful for you, whether you are just enjoying me learning how to redo some of my artwork and move on with trying to level up my skills, or if you want to follow along and do it yourself too to build up some of your art skills. It'd be real interesting to know who gets inspired by that and who just enjoys watching me try my best to level up my skills where I want to be. So with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.